Hey friends, the spring garden is officially donezo in my opinion, and so I have some garden cleanup to do. It's time to just kind of pull some things that are bolting, harvest more oregano because it's never ending, which I won't complain, I'm excited, but gotta pull the oregano, gotta pull the parsley that is bolting, all of my spring greens, my collards, I want to hold out hope, but they're just kind of tough and bitter because of the heat, as well as our Asian greens, which have bolted as well. Usually I keep things planted until they go to seed so that I can collect the seed, but all of these things I have tons of seed for, so they're getting pulled out and I need to plant some more stuff to fill in. So I'll give you a little walkthrough of what I am thinking for the day. First of all, you have seen this before if you've watched my videos, but this oregano, I harvested and processed half of it, dried it, and put it in the pantry. I need to do this half today. I want to pull this parsley. I've been keeping it in the bed because of the pollinators, but it's just making everything look messy, and I've reached my limit of mess. I like to have a mix of structure and organized things in the garden with messy natural, leaning more on the messy natural side, but the spring garden has gotten just like a bit too messy. Which brings me to the cornflower. Obviously, I love cornflower, but they've just gotten completely out of hand and fallen over. So I think I want to cut back some of those, and then I want to seed some cosmos in their place for the summer. Our garlic we did in grow bags for the first time this year, and I'm not sure how I liked it. They all kind of look a bit unwell, but it's like maybe too early to pull them. So I might dig up some garlic today and see how it's looking. Coming over here, we have all of the Asian greens that I need to pull, as well as our curly cilantro, which has bolted as well. And then here are my sad collards. So we'll see what I decide with all of that, but gonna get started on the oregano. I feel like that's one of the lessons that you learn over time when you start a garden and start growing stuff, is that like everything is temporary. Like there's truly a season for everything. And you know, it's kind of hard sometimes when you plant something and then realize that it's time to like cut it back or tear it out. And there's this requirement almost of gardening that requires acceptance of like constant change and acceptance of like when it's time to pull the plug on something. So I feel like it's a really great practice for people that have strong attachment to an idea or a phase or a season, because something is always dying, so to speak, while another thing is being born. And that's kind of what growing food is, and herbs. I might be cutting back this oregano completely now, even though it still is producing, but I'm just creating space for my tomato to grow better and for me to plant something else, something fresh, something more productive for the season here. But it took me a while to realize that like the garden is an ever-changing thing and it can't stay the same forever. Like I said, it's a really good practice in letting go. I'm gonna strip all of this now so that it can actually fit in the bucket, and I'll rinse it for a bit, drain it, wash it a couple times, and then start drying it. But this part of the process is gonna take me quite a while. If you have tricks to do this faster, put it in the comments so that when I'm done doing all of these, I can read your comments and get mad at myself for not thinking of your hacks.
Some more axle grease on it, he said. It's a nasty bite. You tend to your biscuits, Paul said. Went over and put his hand on top of the Dutch oven. It felt to him like the biscuits were probably ready.
Hi, hello.
And he had not a cent. But if word got around that he was working for the...
thought I was done, but round 2, almost done.
No real promises made, much less talk of what.
I just got a big baking sheet and covered it with this tea towel. And I'm gonna start laying this out and just sun drying it. It's not gonna be in a single layer because I don't have a big enough baking sheet, but that's okay. We can flip it around as needed. It is a little bit windy, so I'm just gonna leave it low on the ground instead of, usually I like put it up in a garden bed or on a chair, but I think it'll be okay here. I was just going to pull up the parsley and I saw that there are a bunch of different pollinators on it, like 2 different types of wasps, some little bees, some like hoverflies. Now I feel really bad, but I want things to be cleaned up. I'll sit on it, I'll think about it. Moving on to something else. I've made the sad decision to pull my collards. I'm gonna plant more kale because it tends to do much better in the heat here. And my collards have just really struggled this whole season, even like full on spring. I think there's been a lot of pest pressure. I'm not sure why, because other things on the bed are doing okay. I think it's time to move on. Wow, they're deeply rooted. I decided to make the agonizing decision to cut these back. Hi, Arrow. Hi. Did you just wake up? It was really hard to make the decision. But I want the space for different flowers that won't just fall over. I don't know why it's so hard sometimes to make a change. It feels like a sin to all these dogs. Oh, Gusser. Gusser. Feels like a sin to cut flowers that are in bloom. Maybe I'll regret it. If you see cardboard appearing, it's because we did the Back to Eden gardening method in this area in early spring, and all of this used to be grass. So we covered it with cardboard and some soil and mulch, and the soil and mulch have settled and the dogs have dug up some cardboard. So we're waiting on a chip drop to get more mulch to cover all the cardboard and do the rest of the area, but right now it's looking kind of ugly. Okay, I need to do some planting, some of which will be kind of chaos garden vibes with flowers. I don't need to plant all of these, it's just I can choose. Some catnip for our cats, radishes to just kind of like go in between things in the raised beds. I love growing radishes. They are so easy and so rewarding. This is a summer squash, and then this is like a decorative one. Last year we had squash, just like volunteer squash, growing all over the garden, and I loved it. And so even if this doesn't produce much, I just want to give it a chance. Last year they all popped up like midsummer, so I'm not too worried about it. And then some green. This is interesting, it's amaranth, but it's a type of like green, and then 3 types of kale because I love kale and I need more greens since my collards didn't work out. gonna throw some hollyhock seeds with these sunflowers and see how it goes, because otherwise we're not gonna use these seeds this year. As well as some coreopsis. Okay, I'm headed in for the day and I'll see you guys soon. Good morning. It's been about a week since I did that kind of changeover in the garden. It's amazing how much progress can be made when you just give it a couple days. Let me show you. Almost all of the kale that I planted of different varieties is coming up. I have started thinning these, but I'm kind of waiting a bit because, as you can see, some are getting eaten. So for now, I actually want as many as I can have. This chard was struggling ever since I planted it in like April. And once I pulled the rest of this stuff out of this bed, it's been doing so much better. And then in this bed where I pulled up the collards, you can see that there are some sprouts coming up from the yellow squash that I planted. And then I think it's finally time to harvest this kohlrabi. They could get bigger, but it is just going to keep getting hotter. And I know that they can get woody when it's hot, so I'm going to pull those out. I have an onion here doing pretty well. This onion is looking great. And then this one is just teeny tiny, and I have no clue why. It was started at the same time, same conditions, same transplanting as the other ones. So, one of a garden mystery. This bed here under the cattle panel trellis is doing really well. I will say that, and I thought that this would happen, the zucchini is kind of growing this way towards where I planted our beans, so they're shading it out. So I've just kind of been coming in here regularly and pruning back the leaves on this side of the zucchini plants, which I think will be okay. And then eventually I might end up staking them up here just to let more light into the beans. Seeing as how these pole beans, which were from 2019, were kind of an experiment, I'm not going to worry about it too much.
Just kidding, I didn't even know you were talking.
And we actually have our first little baby zucchini in there. 2 of them. We're getting some good sized bulbs.
That's great.
From the California early.
That's great.
The first few were sad, so I was upset, but they look good now.
Wow, that's amazing.
Wow, we got a big boy. Look at that. And I only fertilized these once.
Really?
And they're in buckets, so like they should have needed a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to figure out how to label these. Hi, Eddie girl. Hi. You're already hot. You're already hot, aren't you? Oh dear. Hi. Look, Gus is taking your spot. Bold move. But this is her main spot. Okay, pausing the garlic festivities to cut down our really sad broken pea trellis. I mean, if you can call it a trellis, because I need the twine for bundling the garlic. And the peas are basically done. Arrow will be sad because he loves the peas. Goodbye, spring garden. Do you want a pea? Last pea. He doesn't like them, only Arrow. Guster, you don't like the peas. It's for Arrow. Sorry. The last pea of the season. Sit. Be nice. I gotta say, I'm so glad to have the broken string down. It was driving me insane. And now I can clear up this area. And then I can clean up all the weeds along there. These still need to dry completely, so I'll put them in the sun, but I have attached them together just really loosely so that I know which varieties are which. Proud of that one. Sniff inspection. Really bad luck with our elephant garlic. This was actually my first time growing elephant garlic, and I think the issue is that I left it too long first. You can see this one has its flower, and I think the issue is just that these are actually leek and not garlic, and so I think I just needed to keep that in mind and keep an eye on it closer for when it was ready. But also, yeah, there were those snail eggs, and then in the next grow pot, there was like this second ant's nest that I found, like full on ant's nest with eggs. And I don't know if you guys know if grow bags kind of tend to create environments that are better for like eggs and pest nests. Let me know. Next year I would do more if we do the grow bags again. I think what we'll do instead is like create an in-ground bed for the garlic because, yeah, I didn't like having the grow bags there. They're hard to access. They got full of weeds because of that. And yeah, just so many slugs and ants, so. Okay, the last thing that I'm going to do this morning before it gets too hot for me, I am growing cannabis this year for the first time. It is legal here, and I started these a while ago, but have kind of been neglecting them because I needed to clear up these pots to uppot them. They needed to be uppotted no matter what, months ago, and so they don't look sad, but they're just stunted for sure. I fertilized these this morning, and I'm just going to plant them in these pots and see how much they take off. Well, I think I'm all done for the day. Overall, I feel good about making the decisions to pull things and clip back flowers that were just not serving a very good purpose, kind of cluttering things up. I processed all of that oregano, which I'm happy about. We have a ton now. And yeah, it's just a good reminder that sometimes you have to let go of certain things to let other things flourish. And I think that's a good reminder for all things in our life. So if you needed that reminder, you are not alone. Sometimes you have to make a hard cut so that things can grow and take off with more space and more room. Hope you guys had a lovely day, and I will see you next week.